Like there is nothing more American, and I mean this in a positive way, okay? Normally when I say something is American, it's a pejorative, but in this circumstance, there's nothing more American in the positive affirmation sense than being able to fucking wave the flag of the country of origin while you are here, okay? What are we talking about? What are we fucking talking about, dude? It's disgusting. If you take issue with foreign flags being flown at protests, go take that up with Israel, which is a fucking Nazi country doing an ethnic cleansing campaign. Mexico ain't doing all of that, all right? Where's the smoke for St. Patrick's Day parade, you know? Oh, well, or where's the smoke for the Ukrainian protests? Oh, that's right, they're white, so it doesn't matter. It's not the kind of foreigner that we don't like in this country. To be fair, even with the Ukrainian one, people are starting to get agitated against that too, because Donald Trump hates Ukraine too. It's so fucking stupid, but Italian flags at the Italian Day Parade. It's an invasion. It's an invasion. I'll die on this hill. We're never going to reach their sensibilities, Hasan. We need to raise the American flag so that the narrative can't be twisted in the media, which is what it's going to be. They do it every time. No, dude. What happens every time is squishy liberals such as yourself actually fucking fall into the same trap. You get dominated by the right-wing framing. You get dominated by the right-wing framing, and you actually lean on the sensibilities of a third party that you do not know exists out there, okay? The idea that there is a guy out there who's like, I don't really like that they're deporting people that are simply waiting for their paperwork to be processed. And I think that's an inherently violent act, but I can't get myself to be on board with these fucking protests until they wave the American flag, until they wave the flag of the state that's doing that. It's the same principle behind Black Lives Matter, which of course ended up becoming a commodified, toothless version of itself. But that's exactly what people were saying with Black Lives Matter. They were like, oh, well, why don't we say all lives matter, Hasan? Why don't we say all lives matter? I was there. I was there at the fucking protest back then, too. I know everybody always was like, oh, Hasan, you never go out there. This is a war in the media. Okay. We're not trying to woo ourselves here. We're trying to woo the fucking morons, the idiots of the country. No, dude. My point is the idiots of the country are not actually going to fucking realize that these are good protests because they're waving the American flags. They don't give a shit. They're going to move the goalposts to the next thing. What is wrong with you? It's the same as like my fucking haters. Here, I'll use a hyper-specific analogy here to Twitch streaming. Asmongold is like, oh, he'll never fucking go down there. He'll never go outside of his house. He just wants to sit in his fucking ass and cover the protest from afar from the comfort of his home because he likes the fucking LARP, okay? Then his chatters are like, no, he is there. He's like, okay, well, he's only on the top there, though. He's actually only shooting from afar. He doesn't want to put himself in the line of fire. He doesn't want to put himself in danger. And then people go, oh, no, he's actually in the front line right there. You're wrong. And then he goes, okay, he must be arrested because he doesn't give a fuck. It's not about defending these protests because if you look at the cruelty that is going on with the federal government's insane enforcement, dragnet campaigns, arresting people at their fucking place of business, arresting people for cooperating with the administration, with the immigration authorities, arresting them at fucking courthouses, arresting them at fucking schools. If you see all of that and you don't give a fuck and you don't actually unconditionally 10 toes down support the fucking protest, then a flag is not going to do it. Okay? That's it. So don't come in here, which is one of the only fucking outlets, one of the only media outlets, one of the only communities that is actually doing exactly what you wish we were doing, which is to counter that fucking misinformation, to counter that goddamn narrative and be like, no, actually, you're wrong. Optics are very important here. It's not. It's not. Okay? Optics are utterly irrelevant. Optics are only relevant for the squishy liberals who are going to find the next thing to grab onto to say, sorry, I'm a white moderate. I'm a white moderate, and I place a timeline on another man's emancipatory movement, okay? The real thing to do in this circumstance is to tackle the issue head on. The real issue to tackle here is their lack of interest in trying to create a movement of justice, as opposed to the presence of order that they have in their lives. Because if you are from these communities, if you have undocumented migrants, or once again, undocumented migrants can mean people who are waiting for their fucking court date, okay? 93% of undocumented migrants that have court cases that are pending actually follow through and they go to their immigration court dates, okay? Remember that, 93%. So these are people who think that maybe through all of this naivete that they believe that this fucking government is going to do the right thing, that, you know, they are going to actually, if they play ball and if they cooperate, they will inevitably allow them to have the proper paperwork to fucking live here, okay? Explain that to people. Explain the cruelty of the people, okay? Explain the actual problem. Complaining that people in Los Angeles are waving the fucking Mexican flag is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. One of the most insane complaints I've ever seen. Netizens of Bilibili are loving your coverage of the protests. This is the day you wore your red star hat. Support for Super Earths. The Ministry of Truth is fagging illegal broadcasts. What is happening to my camera? My camera is tweaking right now. Hold on. Here, we'll just go with this then. Oh. All right. Today's look is so MB, haha. Black Ops Live demo, twinkling red star. Los Angeles has established diplomatic relations with me. I unilaterally recognize the integrity of the territory. Early Cuban military uniforms. Yeah. I think that a lot of people fail because of their own personal sensibilities. I think a lot of people fail in this because they think there is an optics game here that you can win over without actually just like addressing the root cause of why these protests are happening to begin with. Okay? Address why these protests are happening. Explain to people why these protests are happening. That is an infinitely more successful way to approach these people. If someone is saying, yeah, all of this immigration, like kidnappings and all this stuff is really fucked up, but these guys are waving the Mexican flag and I can't find myself supporting someone who waves the Mexican flag, then okay, that person is probably not going to be on your side regardless. They're going to find another thing. They're going to say the same thing that they did with Black Lives Matter. Oh, I think that it's really fucked up that the police are actually pretty racist towards black people in their policing practices, but I can't in good conscience support a movement that says like fuck pigs, for example. That kind of language is very spicy. I don't like it. It's like, okay, so you misunderstood what was going on here. Every single historical struggle that has ever existed has been met with people that are tackling the problem from a privileged position and would rather maintain a presence of order rather than advocate for justice, because advocating for justice in this circumstance requires you to demand change. And oftentimes that demand is not going to come from the magnanimous nature of our politicians and our systems and our government that is designed the way it is. It's only going to come when it's met with force. That is precisely the reason why, regardless of how people have whitewashed the civil rights struggle, for example, there was a tremendous amount of resistance and a tremendous amount of unpopularity until the pressure was so unimaginably high that the fucking dam broke. That's why I also always stress the importance of consistently pressuring and continuing to protest against Israel's genocide. Okay? It is exactly the same. It is identical. The response is identical. Asking a minority group to sacrifice their heritage in favor of assimilating to American culture, even symbolically, should never be a solution. It's also not a bad. It's also not a bad thing. It's not even a point of contention. I have no issue with someone waving the flag of Mexico, man. I think, like, especially in places like Los Angeles, but anywhere in America, it's great. It's wonderful. Why would you care? Why would that be a bad thing? You know? It's these people's heritage. It is a part of being an American, okay? It is a part of living here that you get to do that. Yeah. Central Committee says liberal nitpicking and protest isn't some good faith advice. It is what they do to give themselves permission to do nothing in the face of fascist repression. Exactly. Well, see, I'm a good person who would totally fight fascism, but these protests have such bad optics that I can't. Very specifically, we had these exact debates about people saying ACAB in 2019. I literally debated Hutch on that point. We had to use the military to force desegregation. Exactly.